person, even though they seem like they are sometimes overwhelming. But there's people there to help you through if you have been there before.
Because I know that this whole thing, like, I've never felt more alone and isolated, ever in my life. Like, when I was still, healthy before all the kidney disease, like, I felt alone, but at the same time, it's like I still had the option, to go out, the option of being around people. Like, that was a choice that I could make. And then, you know, the, the, the choice was sort of taken away from me, you know?
But, yes, but if you don't mind me talking just very plainly and just to the point, um, I myself, I was very introverted when I went through kidney failure, and I felt like you said you had the choices to make things happen before you became uh, before kidneys failed and led you on a kind of a different path of your health care and your being. Um, but uh, the choices that you make, even on being on dialysis, are not as limited as you might feel. I mean, it's easy for me to say that I'm 64 years old. I've been through a lot, and uh, I've learned through my travels in my journey that these things are true, and that's why I don't feel embarrassed or feeling that I'm putting too much upon you, as long as you can understand where I'm coming from, that things are possible. I know that when I was on dialysis, and being an introverted person, I didn't take a lot of direction very well. Sometimes because I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Some Sometimes because I just didn't want to go out and make that choice, put myself out there to do that. But like I say, in hindsight, it makes it all uh, a relatively simple choice to do things, even though they are in kind of a little harder frame of doing them, or different frame, I might say, than you would normally do it.
Mm.
But one thing I found, Carl, that going through kidney failure and dialysis, that I think I developed a lot of respect from different people that were in my everyday life, to see me actually go through what I was going through and learning how to deal with it and learning the ins and outs of keeping myself healthy, and doing it for so long and being able to apply myself to make better choices and to make those choices.
Mm. Mm. I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. You know, it's just like not being able to do things the way I used to do them. And it's something that I struggle with every single day. Of like, I used to do, like I did martial arts for a long time and it was a passion of mine. And now, like, I don't have the energy to
Mm-hmm.
do it anymore. And a lot of the frustration also comes from the fact that, like, this is not my fault. You know what I mean? Like, my kidney failure, if I could give a little backstory,
Oh, certainly.
my kidney failure started as a result of me having to take medications and get treatment for a prior condition. I have an
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune disease called HLH. It's very rare. Adults typically don't get it, but it's typically that autoimmune disease. That disease is typically reserved for children and like adolescents, like teenagers, stuff like that. And I got sick when I was 33, and I had to go through chemotherapy for a long time, and I was on a lot of chemo drugs,
Mhm.
and uh, some of the side effects are, you know, kidney disease, like kidney damage, is one of the side effects for one of the main medications I was taking. On top of me going through chemo for a long time, I think I went through chemo for like 9 months, and
Uh-huh.
then after a little while of me being on dialysis, I stopped. I mean, excuse me, chemo. I stopped,
Uh-huh.
and then I found out that I had to go back into doing chemo again, and I had to get back on the drugs. And then by the time that was over, my kidneys were failing.
Yes.
You know,
I understand. Yeah.
and it's frustrating because, like, I can understand. You know what? I could accept this if I did this to myself. That's
Right.
like if I got lung cancer. Well, okay, well, I understand that because I was smoking cigarettes for 20 years. Like I gotta understand
Right.
that, right? But
Yeah.
like I was just minding my own business, and I just happened to get sick with this one thing, and then that transitioned into another thing,
Right.
and that sort of
Yeah.
adds to the isolation of how I feel. Of like people don't really understand, and I think the last thing that I want is you know like the glad handing, the Pollyanna, like I don't want any more pep talks, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Okay.
I kind of just want results, and I feel like a lot of people do that because they don't know what else to say. They
Yeah.
say what they feel like you want to hear in order to make you feel better because they're not where you are emotionally, you know?
Yes. Hmm.
So it just
I
adds to the
used to get,
frustration. I just feel stuck, you know?
yeah, I used to get that. I used to get that too. I know what you mean.
Right? If like I'm just like, well, if one more person tells me not to give up, I'm gonna jump off a bridge.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you told me that.
You know,
Glad you
and
told me.
right, and that's like it's not like I'm sort of a realist. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm a realistic person. Like give me the odds and then let me decide. Like don't
Yeah.
just tell me, just don't give me hopes and dreams. Like I want the reality of what's happening, so then I can
Yeah.
make an informed decision about what to do next. Like if you tell me I got a 50% chance, like instead of telling me, hey, it's all gonna work out, tell me what my odds are. You know,
Yeah.
like do I got a fifty
And
percent
what,
chance of succeeding at this? Okay, then I know what to do.
yeah, what to expect and how to do it or how to get there.
Right. That gives me sort of a
Yeah.
plan of what I can do.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, you do. You do come to that tablet of things to choose from and to direct yourself through something you haven't been through. Even though you've been through a lot, you understand. I'm glad you told me the way you feel, so I can probably be more directed with you to help you with some of your issues.
And it's no disrespect to people that need that because some people need that. You know,
Yes.
just like some people
Mm-hmm.
need to be told the truth, some people need to be told to not give up. And more power to them, not taking anything away from that. But for me, that I don't need any more of that. Like I'm not a young like I'm not a kid anymore. You know,
Uh-huh.
so it's just
Yeah.
I need a little bit more than that.
Sure.
And it's just when you mention that you got to do things a little differently, it's just like it feels like with dialysis, that's like the whole duration, of like all the things, all the words that are associated with dialysis are all negative. Like
Yeah.
you have to change this, do this differently. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be like you have to do it this way. You know, restrictions. You can't do that. It's like all these words. You know,
Yeah.
and for
You,
me,
you
it's
know,
uh-huh.
one thing I can tell you forthright and truthfully through my experience is that you're guided by boundaries and limitations and don't do this and don't do that. But through what I've been through, just personally, I'm talking about myself, not other people. Uh, I found ways to kind of bend the boundaries and time whether you probably need to change your eating. I mean, I don't know what your eating habits are now, but I know that I needed to change my eating habits, and I felt like this is a total barrier that I can't eat certain foods. I can't do this. I can't do that. But through trial and error, I was able to make decisions for myself based on what was available and things that I could take part in, limit-wise, for my own body and my own structure, my own well-being, to be able to make choices that were sometimes outside of the boundaries of what is normally told to you. It takes a while to understand the boundaries and to what happens if you go too far outside these boundaries, how your body will feel. And being able to feel these within yourself to make those decisions as to what you can limit yourself to and what you can go over the limit to please yourself and your well-being. There are ways to do that. It worked for me. I might say that it may not work for you, but it takes trial and error to find out what is best for you. So don't be blind. Try not to be blindsided by all these limitations and boundaries and people out of well-wishers and people who don't really realize what you're going through or what you've gone through. Trying to find that level boundary within yourself to make those decisions. But you can find ways outside the boundaries to make you feel well, to feel good about yourself. I've done it.
Mm. Yeah, that's something that I'm still struggling with. It's just.
Right. Yeah, and I can say it's not an easy thing. Different things that we choose to do, whether they be changes we don't have to make, or that we don't want to make, and the changes we see in our lifestyle for things that we can no longer do. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and I used to tour, and I missed that a great deal. And I felt when my kidneys failed, I felt that the whole world was just stopping. I mean, I liked the excitement. I liked the performing for people, seeing their reactions to music, and so I found ways to apply myself musically different ways. Like I became a guitar instructor for quite a while, and I do that in my spare time now with family and my family growing up now. I have younger children. So I just found that was a way for me to find my place, and that I could still be doing what I wanted to do, even though it wasn't the same. What I thought was the grandeur of performing in front of people live, which I do occasionally, but not since the pandemic. I used to do it in coffee houses, bars, and restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But during this time, I've had to find other ways to make myself feel whole.
And that's the thing that just, man, like, that's the thing that makes me really angry. It's just like,
yeah.
it's just like, man, I shouldn't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't it just be the way it was before?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part of me that knows that I should just let go. And there's a part of me that refuses to. Because if I let go, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I let go, then that's it. Like that's it. It's over. And it's like I'm not ready to let go of that part of who I am. because I
Good.
still want to do it.
Good.
Like there's a part of me that still wants to do it, but I physically can't. I physically cannot do it.
Yeah. I understand. I truly understand.
And then that sort of adds into the feeling of isolation of like there's all this anger and frustration that nobody really understands unless they have like a chronic illness. Like I know somebody that has Lyme disease and she gets it. You know, like she understands.
Mm-hmm.
But like your average healthy person, like a lot of these technicians that I have in my clinic, like they don't
Yeah.
get it. You know, like this is just a job to them.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand. Yeah.
they put you on the machine and then they go, you know, they go into their little, you know, break room and they text about how great their lives are, you know, and it's like, well, my life sucks, you know,
Yeah.
and then people can't understand like why you're angry, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like my mom, for example, like she doesn't understand why I feel like there's nothing to look forward to, like she can't understand it.
Yeah. Now, do you talk with your mother in any great detail about dialysis?
Um, no, but and the
Okay.
reason why I don't do that is because like she'll forget like 5 minutes later and she can't bring herself. We have two ideologies on like how we view life. Like hers is a more hopes and dreams, everything's gonna work out sort of approach, and
Sure.
mine is a sort of more realistic approach.
Uh-huh.
So to talk to her basically bears no fruit. Like it just she doesn't she can't bring herself to understand what's happening to me. You know,
Right.
so I just don't. And then she'll start asking questions like, then she'll start asking questions, and she wants to be like a donor for me, but I don't want that. I don't want that from her because my mom
Yeah.
is she's 62
Right.
and I'm 36, and like she
Yeah.
shouldn't be giving me a kidney. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I understand that people can live on one kidney, but she shouldn't be. What if the kidney fails? You know, she
Yeah.
just gave me a kidney and then it just didn't work.
Right.
You know, so it was just it would be like she just threw away a part of her life. You know, and
Yeah.
she's been through a lot. She's been through a lot. My mother hasn't had an easy life, and neither have I. You know, and she's at a point in her life right now where she's finally happy, and I don't want to take that from her.
Yeah. Okay.
So if this is what I have to do, then this is what I have to do. Like I don't want her to give. She's I'm her son. She's given me so much already. I don't want her to give me anything else. Nothing this
Mm-hmm.
big. Nothing like that. Nothing that big.
Yeah.
You know, like hey, make me some Thanksgiving dinner, or like make me something to eat. But like, nah, the kidney I won't take. I won't take the kidney. You know,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. Like as her son, I can't do that. You know,
Uh-huh. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have a sister, but like her organs aren't very good.
Oh, okay.
She smokes a lot. Like she smokes a
Uh-huh.
lot. So
Yeah.
she's not a very good candidate. Like I don't think she would be a candidate. And besides, she's like I'm a lot bigger. Like I'm like 5'11", 225, and she's
Uh-huh.
like 100 pounds maybe.
Wow.
You know, and she like her kidneys wouldn't be nearly big enough for somebody my size.
You, I don't believe that's the problem. That would be an issue, actually. But being her health would be the other issue. Um,
Yeah, she's not a very
but
healthy person, so I don't think
right.
she'd be able to help me on that front.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I have a brother who wanted to donate a kidney also, and he wasn't the healthiest person, and he wasn't the brightest person when he chose his lifestyle. So I knew he wouldn't be a very good candidate. But my sister was a very good candidate. We were a very good match. But, I understand about how you wouldn't want your mother, finally realizing good things in her life and her existence now, having gone through what she may have been through. That would be so for you that she wouldn't have anything to worry about from there on. I can understand that. Yeah. My second transplant was from a cadaver kidney, and it's 20 years next year, actually. Um, so I've been doing very well with my transplanted kidney. Though I had issues along the way, not different things have come up, medications and some decisions that doctors might have made that weren't really in my benefit. So not my nephrologist or my heart doctors. They've been very, very good. I've being on dialysis and a transplant person for so long. I've gone through doctors, both nephrologists. I've been through 3 nephrologists, and I'm very, very glad that they were from the same medical company.
Mm-hmm.
So continually, they monitor me very well and take very good care of me. I do know the long haul. I can just say I've been through it. I'm still going through it. It's a journey.
Yeah. I think the emotional weight too of like this will never be over. Like, there's this misconception that with a lot of people that I speak to about this is that, once you just get the kidney, then you'll just be fine. Like a lot of people that, I follow on social media that interact with me, they think, oh, you're just going to beat this thing. And I'm like, these people don't understand. Like, this is not something that you can just beat. It's like once I get the kidney, like, it's not over. Like, my life has been forever changed for this. Like I'll never go back to being the same person I was before. And that's not something a healthy person can understand because they're too busy, being healthy.
Yeah. But you know what I can say about that, Carl? Is that I will never be the same person I was before in many respects. Going through what I've gone through, having to make different changes and how to realize myself doing these changes, how to make myself feel better, both physically and mentally, that I would have never gone through these ordeals with as much end result as I have now if I hadn't gone through them at all. I'm not saying everything is rosy and everything's going to be a perfect picture, because life isn't that way, no matter what you do. And so changes happen every day, and I learned to deal with what was gave to me. My grandfather used to tell me all the time when I go to his house, he says, Nino, I'm Spanish, they call me Nino.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Nino, you weren't dealt very good cards, but you play them well. And that stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah. But I tell you,
I do understand what you mean about people not knowing, and they want to give you the best send off of information they can when they meet you and talk with you, or before they say goodbye. But I know how that doesn't register. I felt that.
yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that you got a cadaver kidney. That's really what I want to do. Like, I'm not really interested in taking from a living donor, but I've from what I've heard, and a lot of people keep trying to like push me to a living donor. But from what I heard, like the wait time for a cadaver kidney is just like ridiculous.
It can be, but at the same time, as you take you do your testing and your blood work and tissue testing and everything else to become a recipient. And when a person passes away and they have designated themselves as donors, or their family designates them as donors when they pass, all that comes back, all that comes into play, and it's random. If your chemicals and your tissues and your blood work matches up with this person, right away, you're set. They'll call you and tell you, we have a kidney for you. And so talking about myself, after, let me back up just a little bit here. Being that you say it's a ridiculous time of waiting for a cadaver kidney. It isn't so long a time as if it is your first transplant. And if I can give you a little information about that, is that once you have a transplant, you build up antibodies that are in your body because you've already received a donated kidney, so you've developed antibodies from this other person's tissues. So it makes it even harder to get a transplant. But this will be a first-time transplant, your availability time is less. I can't give you an approximate time because I just don't know. But in my situation, I had to wait 18 years to have another transplant. But I tell you, transplant is night and day difference. Is night and day difference. And you're right that having a transplant does mean you still have to be monitored a little bit and have your checkups and do these other things. But the end product is well worth it. I've had small setbacks here and there, but I was able, through my doctor's care and having the experience that I've had, able to meet those things that were called upon me to do to make things work.
Yeah. Man, I wish this didn't happen.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
And you know what's strange is that, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it's kind of like you're always looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And then there isn't one. Like there's no way that I can get around or get out of this.
Yeah.
Like dialysis is hard, it sucks, and it's just.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm learning, and this takes a while. It's not something that just comes when you get out of bed and all of a sudden you change your mind about things. But going through the different changes and things that I needed to understand, I found different ways of making what I'm going through and being able to apply myself to make me feel better about things that I was going through. Like, I started a support group at my facility when I was on dialysis there, which was mainly patients and family members. And that was a way for me to kind of let go of some of the things that I was doing previously and let me apply it in a more positive manner and with a little more energy and see the product that was being produced in doing that, seeing how the people in their lives and the way they were able to kind of commute better with their family and get a little better understanding of what was going on. And that gave me a reason to step up, I would say, to make myself more physically viable. myself mainly, and to others.
I know I've been looking into that, like as far as like peer groups. Like this is the only thing that I've like the peer strong. This is like the only thing. This like peer program. It's the only thing I found. You know, because it's
Yeah,
just like I go on social media and I look for stuff and like it's kind of slim pickings. You know,
yeah, yeah.
and
And
you know, uh-huh.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and it's just like I've thought about like they suggest at my clinic to like talk to other patients, but I don't really want to do that because I guess you could say some people would describe me as a different kind of cat. So like I kind of feel like I'm going to get the same sort of things that I know I'm going to get. And like I'm not really trying to hear the whole, rah rah speech, fight the good fight. Like I'm not really trying to hear that from people. And I'm also not really trying to hear like the sort of spiritual aspect of it either cuz I'm not that guy, you know.
Yeah,
Like I'm not like a god person. So,
right.
like the one thing, absolute one thing that I do not ever want to hear anybody say to me is everything happens for a reason. And I feel like
Oh.
somebody is going to say that to me and then I'm going to get super pissed. And like,
Yeah,
what do I do? Like, do I just like blow up at this person? Do I explain them? Then you try to explain to them, hey, listen, this is not a part of my belief system. And then they look at you like you got three heads,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
So
You're
it's
there.
like, I'm not interested in talking to other patients like at all. I'd rather just do
Yeah,
it myself,
yeah.
Because you get a lot of patients that'll do that. Well, everything happens for a reason. I'm like, what? So what you're
What could be
telling
the
me,
reason?
huh?
What could be the reason?
Right. Like, so you mean to tell
Yeah,
me that God did this to me for a so my life is miserable because there is a purpose behind it? So you tell me what that is. Well,
yeah.
God works in mysterious ways. Okay, that's very
Oh,
convenient.
another one, huh?
Yeah, God works in mysterious ways. Oh, how convenient that this is the most miserable time. Like, it's not even like the first most miserable time in my life. This is like the second most miserable time in my life. But hey, it's cool because there's a reason behind it. Like that sort of stuff just makes me really angry, and I don't really want to hear that. So I find that I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to any other patients at all.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of it too is that like I'm not in their age group. You know,
Uh-huh.
like there's a huge age discrepancy between me and a lot of the patients.
Yeah.
It's a
I
generational
know.
thing, and it's just
I know.
it's yeah.
When my kidneys failed, I was 25 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and going into a dialysis unit, the majority of the people were in their 60s and 70s, and some a little younger than that. But I felt so out of place. I felt like you say, I don't belong here. I
Right.
just don't belong here.
Right. I
Uh,
feel that all the time. Like I should not be here. This is not where I belong. I do not belong here. And I've told
yeah.
and I've told that to social workers and the nephrologists. They're like, I should not be here.
Hmm.
And it's just they don't get it. Like they don't get it. Because it's easy for them when they can clock out and go home to their
Yeah.
families. You know what I mean? And they don't have any
Yeah.
limitations on them to do whatever they want to do. So they're just like,
Right.
look, I'm just here trying to make this dollar, trying to make this money. And then,
Hmm.
afterwards, it's like, man, but I can't clock out from this. Like, this is my life. Like, every day,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Understood.
And I come, and it's just, people don't get why, like, why am I, people are just like, well, why can't you just be happy and cheerful like all these other guys? I'm like, well,
Uh,
man,
you're not
because I understand the magnitude of what's happening here.
uh, yeah.
You know, like I understand that this is not like I understand what this is. I understand what kidney disease is. I understand what all these machines do. Like I get it. You know, like I've changed my whole life style around.
Yeah.
You know, for this thing, like all of just so many things I've taken away. So many activities I don't do anymore. So many things I've taken away just because of this. You know, doing research on what I can do to make this smoother. Like my whole life, people are like, well, and I hear this a lot too of, well, you know, my disease doesn't define who I am. How doesn't it? You know, like my whole life literally revolves around this. Like if I don't come to this building 3 days a week, 4 hours a day, I am literally gonna die. Literally. You
Yeah.
know, and people think that, oh, well, you're just being over dramatic. That's just hyperbole. Like, no, it's really not. Because I've been in that place before where I wasn't getting dialysis, and I've seen how bad that gets.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been there. I've been there. You know, I've been on the ventilators. I've been on the ventilators. I've, you know, like I've had the toxins build up. I've had the blood in the lungs. I've been spitting out blood. You know what I mean? Going to, you know, gurgling in the throat, can't breathe. Like I've been there. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like if I don't do this, I'm literally gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's life or death. You
Yeah.
know, and that's not
It is.
something that. And I get it. I understand that that's not something, these aren't experiences that any normal regular person ever has to experience in their life unless they get into some accident. You know, and I get
Yeah.
that they don't get it because of that lack of experience. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
look at these young hot 20 something year old techs and I'm like, these people have no idea how hard this is.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Yeah.
You know, they have no
Yeah.
idea how hard this is. You know, they come in here and they have a good time and they yuck it up with all these other patients, and it's just like these people have no clue,
Mm-hmm.
no clue.
Yeah. And there are some techs out there who do understand and uh, what is going on, but like you say, they don't have the actual knowledge and the feeling and the experience of what we go through, what we've been through. They just don't have it and never will. Hopefully, you know.
Mm, yeah, like for me, when all this started, I was 33 when this all started. You know,
Yeah.
and it started with the HLH, and then it went like it wouldn't have been so bad if there was like an elapsed time, in like if there was like an elapsed time in between. You know what I mean? Like if there was like maybe 10 years in between my kidney failure, but it literally went it went from one immediately into the other one. Like a year later, like a year and a half later, full on stage 5 renal failure.
Wow.
So in like 2 years, I went from a functioning, like a relatively like good functioning kidney to like complete renal failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, I can't believe this. I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man, if I could have just had a break in between, maybe I would have been able to like acclimate myself better to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just went from, hey, you're training and you're doing all this stuff. And I used to be a very avid martial artist. Like I used to do it very regularly. I took it really serious. You know, like I trained my body, I hardened my body to do that, to do it. And then in 3 years, my like in like what 2 years, my life was over.
Wow.
You know, and just all people can do is just give you all these content. Anytime anybody says like, well, you can't do it the way you used to do it, it just feels like a consolation prize. You know,
Yeah.
it just feels like everything I do now is just it's just it's just a consolation prize. Like, oh well, you know,
Yeah.
you can't be first, but you'll be a good third place. And it's like,
Right.
well, I don't
Yeah.
want to be third place because I've already seen where I've already experienced where I've been.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I've already been to the mountaintop, and I
Yeah.
know what it feels like to be there, and I liked it there. That's why I kept, I kept training to be there, and now it
Mhm.
just like was just it was wrenched from me.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
you try not to spiral into these places of like despair, and it's just you can't help it.
Mhm.
You know, everybody keeps trying to tell you, hey man, look, just be happy all the time, just be happy all the time. Like there's this guy at the clinic who comes in there laughing and joking. All the cute little nurses freaking love this guy, but it's like that's not realistic. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't think that this dude really understands like the magnitude of what's happening to him. And I
Yeah.
do, so I would like to think that I have like a healthy emotional, like a healthy emotional like range
Mhm.
to this whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do
Yeah.
wonder, like man, am I like doing this wrong? Like am I wrong to feel bad about any of this?
Yeah. You know what, Carl? I've kind of had that same. I can't say the same, but similar experience with seeing other people who register differently about what they're going through. And like I say, this guy comes in chipper and giggles it up and does whatever he does. But that's probably his way of coping and not knowing what this all entails. He's living with what he's going through and has no idea of what's involved. Uh, but I got to the point where I didn't want to downplay on his good feeling. To me, that was good for him. He's been able to do it on his own perspective of what's going on. Um, you know, it's down to a personal choice of how you feel and how they feel, and being okay with both of them. That's just his personal thing, and yours is different, and that's okay too. It's more than okay, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody deals with their uh, um, endeavors differently, depending on how they're growing up, the things they believe, and um, how they see going into the next day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so because we're all different. We're all different.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And you know what? I try not to get angry. I try to like just walk myself off the edge of just
Mm-hmm.
like blowing up and like flying into a rage, because you're right. That's just his process of how he deals with it. Mine is different, and mine isn't any less than his. Just because I'm not going in there laughing and joking and yucking it up doesn't mean that, this is just what I do. But it's nice to have, somebody tell me once in a while that like my process is not the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because people they naturally want to be happy. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to feel bad. So
Mm-hmm.
they sort of gravitate towards, well, why can't you be happy like that guy? Well, that's okay, good for him. Like
Yeah.
that's not how I process this. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad about stuff. Like I'm a normal person. Like I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
come in here yucking it up and laughing and joking because that's not my way. It's not what I do.
Right.
But you can't tell me that I'm a bad guy because that's not because I'm not coming in here, happy and jovial.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like I'm not, but I'm not like I'm not a miserable person either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna come into the clinic and treat anybody badly because of the unfortunate circumstances I find myself in. Like I don't do that. That's just not my thing. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to be friendly and cordial to the staff and everything like that. It's just like, but like, you know, I'm going through the stages of grief here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you when your kidney started to fail, like what was the cause of it, if you don't mind me asking?
What was the latter part of that question? Didn't quite hear it.
Oh, I said when your kidneys initially, when you started going into renal failure, what was the cause of it, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind. If you had asked me 20 years ago, I probably would have minded, but now I don't. I had a lifestyle problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I lived in the fast lane. I was, taking a musician standpoint of rebellion and freedom and getting out and just saying what I wanted to say and partying.
Right, the rock
Uh,
star lifestyle.
yeah, kind of. And that, I realize now that I could have been just as happy and just as much of a rock star if I hadn't done the things I did. But
Right.
that's neither here nor there. Um, but that was my main thing. Just living fast. Burning the
Mm-hmm.
cans at both ends, so to speak.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like mine was just an unfortunate set of circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand how you told them to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's strange because sometimes I'll be sitting in the chair and I think, you know what? Maybe I should have just said like forget it and just did whatever I wanted. Because now look at where I'm at. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I spent you spend so many time. It's like I spent so many years being like subdued and not standing up for myself when I should have, and it just feels like my whole life was just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like did anything I ever did in my life ever actually matter?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel that a lot of just like, well, if this was always going to be the end, like I just
Mm-hmm.
wasted so much time on things that
Yeah.
shouldn't have mattered so much.
Great. I understand that. Yeah. And um, if you don't mind me being a little more personal about my life here lately, my wife passed away about a year ago, and she passed away from cancer. So I was her caretaker at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you're watching her go through what she went through, and watching her slip away from me, um, really got me to the point where I decided to do the things that I hadn't done before. Not saying wild things. I'm saying things that were important to me as a person, important to the people around me, and just getting a little more closer to the people I thought I had good relationships with, whether it be family or friends, and realizing how narrow those relationships were. They were the all. You go to your gatherings, you go to dinners, you go and you meet them, you have a good time, and that's what I had become accustomed to. But now I realize there is so much more that these people in my life have to offer, and so much more that I have to offer I didn't know was there, and I didn't react upon earlier. And that has given me such a better feeling and direction of things I could do. And there again, being within my own uh, footprint as to what I could do, not stepping way out and do things that I didn't think I could possibly do, or things I only imagined. Um, you seem more down to earth and finding ways to better things around me.
Yeah. I think I tell that to younger people a lot too. Like people younger than me, it's just like, listen, people have this tendency to think that whatever it is they're doing right now is whatever they're always going to be doing.
Yeah.
And I tell like there's this young tech at the clinic. I tell her, listen, you don't have as much time as you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just you should use that time as wisely as you can. Now, I'm not talking about like doing drug. I'm not talking about like doing drugs, getting drunk, or any of that wild stuff. I'm talking about like, like you said, cherishing the people that are around. Like I don't really have very many friends. Like the social circles I had weren't very healthy for me to be in, so I got rid of those. And it's real difficult, especially now, to like meet new people and find new friends, especially with finding like a companion or anything like that is just real hard now that like there's all these complications and there's all these like restrictions now, and you try to get closer and to you try to strengthen those bonds with people, the people that you
Uh-huh.
do have. So I understand what you mean. Like when I got sick with the HLH, I went through that a lot of the appreciation, like appreciating the people that are there for you.
Hmm.
You know, and I did that much more than I had ever done. Like I was before I got sick, I was transitioning into that stage of appreciation, and then I got sick, and I was so concerned about just getting better. I lost my way on that. Not to say that I was mistreating people. That's not what it was. But my focus was elsewhere. You know,
Yeah.
and now I'm starting to sort of get back to that. Like me and my sister, we were estranged for years because of decisions that she decided to make. And one day she just came to me and just, she just she just opened up to me, and I told her like, let's listen, like our relationship was on rocky terms because of things that you decided to do. So if this works, it's on you. Like I'm not taking any responsibility for this. Like if this goes wrong based off of something that you do, then I'm washing my hands of it. You know, like it's you're the one that has to do the work now. So if you want to get closer to me and appreciate me, then that's what you need to do. And I'd let her know, like, 2 years ago, I could have died from the HLH. It's not
Hmm.
like it. HLH it stands for hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis. It's a real disease. Like people think that it's just oh, it's just a cold. You take some Robitussin and you'll be fine. Like no, it kills people. Like it's
Yeah.
just as deadly as cancer, and it can come back just like
Hmm.
cancer can. Like I'm not safe anywhere. Like at any point in time in my life, I'm not really safe because it could always come back and it can kill you. It's a very
Hmm.
dangerous autoimmune disease. Like your body is raging against itself. And yeah, I was telling my sister, hey, listen, if you want to do this, it's on you. But like I told her, I don't have a lot of time to be messing around. So I need to use every single minute to the best of my abilities. I don't have time to be wasting on, superficial ventures that aren't going to go anywhere. Like, I need to be fulfilled,
Hmm.
you know? I need to be happy. And I told her that, like I told her that, like I need to be happy. Like I can't waste time, chasing people and chasing things that are gonna make me unhappy or make me miserable. I don't have time for that anymore. I literally don't have time for that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very good. You become to accept that you've, like you say you don't have time for things that do not come to fruition. You need things that are going to bring you to fruition. Um, I think that's very remarkable. You can be able to say that and believe that, because there's so many people who don't. They never get to that point. They'll take it one day at a time, uh, in a manner that isn't really beneficial all the time.
Right. I see that with a lot of the younger generation of like, they just and it's like, like you don't have as much time as you think you do. Like cuz
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing could go belly up at any minute, you know? And then you look back on your life and then there's all these regrets of like, man, all the stuff I wish I could have said, all of the connections that I wished I would have made stronger, all the people I would have told that I loved them, You know, like all the people that I thought just knew I cared and me not tell them. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't want to do that anymore. You know.
Yeah. Understood. I understand that.
You know, and you know, and I didn't get a chance to say it, but you know, you have my deepest condolences. You know, for your wife. You know, my mom, she's a breast cancer survivor, and you know, if she didn't catch it early, she wouldn't be here right now. You know,
Good for her. Good
so
for her.
you know, like I understand a, a huge variety of different things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I've had disease like cancer take members of my family before. You know, in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I had an aunt that died from breast cancer. My mom had breast cancer. I just recently had an uncle and an aunt die just a year ago. You know,
I'm sorry.
but the thing is, I didn't really know them. You know, so when they died, I didn't really feel anything. You
Uh-huh.
know, and that's due to how you know the qualities that they were raised with their parents and the trauma that their parents experienced. You know,
Oh,
putting
yeah.
that trauma onto them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put that on the generation after
Good.
them.
That's something we go through life with the beliefs that we have as we grow up, and they are more in tune to what our predecessors went through and how our parents have dealt with what we've not come through them,
Mm-hmm.
and then deliver them to us, and then we have a little different belief. Uh, and so your beliefs change as we mature, you know. But I do understand that situations and lifestyles within our own family um, cause us to be the people who we are, and we make our decisions and change our influences throughout life.
Right. 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 Like I definitely experienced that like with my own father because he had trauma from his father and then
Mm-hmm.
you know if it wasn't for my mother he would have put that trauma onto me and who knows what kind of person I would have grown up to be, you know.
Yeah.
Like I tell my mom all the
Yeah.
time like I'm glad, you know, like I'm so glad I had like one competent parent
Mm-hmm.
you know, to like
Yeah.
just let me be myself, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
let me grow into the person that I am right now.
Very good. Yeah. My mother was my confidant and my friend dealing with my bringing me up, taking me to Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, camping, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, was my mom.
Yeah, that's another regret that I have too. Like one of these days, like I wanted to go camping, but now it's just like I can't go camping for more than a day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe two if it's
Yeah.
on the weekend, because I have like all this camping
Yeah.
stuff, but I can't use any of it. You know, like I got like this little like camping knife I want to use to like cut vegetables and stuff, but but now it's like man, I can't go out. You know, I can't stay overnight because I got to get back to I got to get back to dialysis.
Yeah. Well, I know when I used to go camping, the family would go camping, and I was ready to, do you dialyze on Friday or Saturday?
Friday, so I have Saturday and
Right.
Sunday off.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with me, I had it on Saturday, so it made it a little more difficult to go camping. So mainly we would go camping when they had the Monday off,
Mm-hmm.
if we wanted to go as a family. So I would go right after dialysis. I felt kind of a little under the weather after dialysis,
Yeah.
especially when I first started.
Right.
But you know, I kind of learned to deal with that, and they learned to understand how I felt afterwards. So we made accommodations, you know, to benefit myself to where I could still do that and still be back in time to make my next dialysis appointment. Though sometimes I wouldn't be feeling too good after being out in the country for a couple of days.
Right. Right.
But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Carl, it's nice. It's been nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Nice
it's been
talking
nice.
to you.
Yeah, it's been nice talking to you too.
Um, would you like to do this again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, today is Thursday.
Mhm.
Would you like to do it on another Thursday sometime?
Um.
Or what is a better day for you? I'm pretty much open.
Uh. Tuesday usually works.
Okay.
Tuesday and Thursday are the days I'm. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are usually the times that I'm off dialysis.
Okay.
But like Tuesday would be a good time.
Okay. Next Tuesday.
Mhm.
Okay. About the same time, right around close to 1?
Yeah, that'd be a good time.
Okay. I'll give you a call between 12:30 and 1, or 12 and 1.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Like I say, it's been nice talking to you, Carl. And you have a good attitude, no matter what people might tell you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you take care now, okay? And I'll talk to you later.
Okay, you too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
All right, bye bye.